Hi there, and welcome to the ITONICS Academy. I'm Emily, and I'll be guiding you through this course on the top 10 innovation challenges and how to solve them. If you're here, I probably don't need to state the obvious. Innovation is essential for staying competitive. Research shows that in times of uncertainty, sticking to business as usual and investing only in incremental changes, which may be an initial instinct, is actually riskier than bold innovation. Yet, while innovating may be the safer long-term bet, it's not without its obstacles. The difference between companies that struggle with innovation and those that thrive isn't the absence of challenges. It's how well they're equipped to tackle them. This course will walk you through the 10 biggest challenges organizations face in innovation, backed by real-world insights, and provide actionable strategies and tools to overcome them. These challenges aren't just theoretical. They come from our experience with multinational clients and insights from thousands of conversations with leaders in the fields of innovation, business, R&D, and strategy. What's encouraging is that while these challenges are widespread, they are by no means insurmountable. In fact, their ubiquity means that they are proven best practices and frameworks that organizations of all sizes can adopt to navigate them successfully. This course is divided into two parts, counting down from the 10th to the most pressing and prevalent innovation challenge organizations face today. In this part 1, we'll talk about challenges 10 through 6. So let's dive in. Starting with number 10, innovation ROI, the difficulty in measuring innovation's impact on business outcomes. Why is this difficult? And crucially, why is it important to solve? One of the biggest reasons is that traditional ROI models don't apply neatly to innovation. In most areas of business, measuring success is straightforward. Revenue growth, cost savings, or efficiency gains provide clear markers. But innovation often delivers value over longer timeframes, making short-term impact harder to quantify. For example, a company investing in an AI-powered customer insights tool may ultimately see stronger customer relationships and higher retention rates. But these benefits might take years to fully materialize, while leadership may ask for immediate proof of success. This disconnect between long-term innovation value and short-term business expectations makes it hard to justify investment. And it's not just about financial metrics. Many valuable innovations, like improving customer experience or building internal capabilities, are difficult to assign a dollar value to. Yet, just because something is difficult to measure doesn't mean it isn't valuable. Without a clear way to demonstrate impact, innovation budgets shrink, projects stall, and leadership loses confidence in innovation as a growth driver. So, how do we solve this? First, we need to rethink how we measure success. Instead of relying solely on financial ROI, companies need to track both leading and lagging indicators to tell a more complete story of innovation's value. Leading indicators help us understand whether an innovation is on the right track before financial returns are visible. These might include the number of ideas tested, time to market improvements, or early customer adoption and feedback. Lagging indicators, on the other hand, measure long-term business impact, such as revenue generated from a new product, cost savings from process improvements, or market share growth. Using tracking and reporting tools ensures these indicators are monitored consistently, keeping innovation efforts aligned with business goals. Second, we need to align innovation metrics with business priorities. One of the biggest reasons innovation struggles to get leadership buy-in is because the value isn't always framed in a way that resonates with executives. For example, if a company's top strategic goal is customer retention, then innovation success should be measured in terms of its impact on retention rates, loyalty metrics, and customer satisfaction. If the focus is on operational efficiency, then innovation should be tracked based on cost savings, process optimization, and speed to market improvements. The key is ensuring that innovation efforts are directly tied to what matters most to the business. Third, we need to communicate innovation impact effectively. Even with strong metrics, poor communication can make innovation feel disconnected from business objectives. Think about it this way. Executives are constantly making decisions about where to allocate resources. They're looking for clarity, confidence, and a compelling reason to invest. So instead of just presenting raw data, innovation teams should frame their results in a compelling and narrative-driven way, one that highlights both the tangible and intangible benefits of innovation. For example, instead of saying, "We launched a new AI-powered tool," say, "We launched an AI-powered tool that has already reduced customer churn by 15%, with further improvements expected over the next 6 months." Or instead of saying, "We ran 10 pilot programs," say, "We ran 10 pilots, 5 of which have been successfully scaled, contributing to a projected $2 million in additional revenue." Think about using visualization tools and dashboards to help make innovation data clear and accessible to all stakeholders, reinforcing why continued investment matters. Moving on to challenge number 9, digital transformation. A term coined around the 2010s, but an ambition that companies have been striving towards since the invention of microchips enabled the shift to digital data beginning in the 1950s. But the real challenge isn't just adopting new tech. It's doing so fast, seamlessly, and strategically enough to drive real impact. Investments in digital transformation continue to rise year on year. Worldwide IT spending is expected to hit $5.7 trillion in 2025, an increase of more than 9% from 2024, according to the latest forecast by Gartner. Of course, this figure includes investments in artificial intelligence, which we will talk about separately, given the magnitude of its potential and the distinct challenges it presents. The point is, companies are throwing big money into emerging technologies, hoping to fundamentally change how they operate and deliver value to customers, faster, more efficiently, more effectively. Despite these efforts, only 35% of organizations report successful digital transformation. Key obstacles include high upfront costs, technical complexity and a lack of the technical expertise to manage this, as well as change management, getting everyone on board and trained up on the new system or tool. Because if your team's idea of automated workflows still involves multiple Excel sheets, Miro boards, and emails, you may be doing things digitally, but you're not transformed. So, how to enact real transformation? Let's look at a real-world example. Siemens Energy, a global leader in energy infrastructure, faced many of the same digital transformation challenges that organizations everywhere grapple with: managing complex digital initiatives, ensuring cybersecurity, and getting teams to engage with new systems. Instead of implementing scattered digital tools, which would only serve to increase complexity, they built the Orbit ecosystem. This centralized platform, powered by ITONICS, connects strategy, innovation, and cybersecurity in one place. What can we learn from the Siemens Energy approach? First, digital transformation works best when everything is centralized. Siemens Energy didn't let digital efforts operate in silos. They built a single hub where projects, trends, and innovation efforts are aligned. If your organization is juggling disconnected systems, consider bringing everything together under one platform. Second, cybersecurity isn't an afterthought. It's a priority. Siemens Energy integrated cyber risk monitoring directly into its digital strategy. No matter how advanced your digital tools are, they're only as strong as the security behind them. Third, transformation only works if people actually embrace it. Instead of top-down change, Siemens Energy's Orbit ecosystem has accessible channels for collaboration and co-creation. If teams feel included and empowered, adoption becomes natural. And finally, digitalization should drive real business value. Siemens Energy ensures that every digital effort is linked to profitability, efficiency, or strategic advantage. Remember what we discussed in the last challenge? It doesn't matter if you have the newest tech if it's not driving measurable results. If your digital transformation feels more like a collection of tools than a cohesive strategy, it might be time to rethink your approach. Siemens Energy proves that real transformation happens when digital initiatives are structured, secure, and connected to business success. Now on to challenge number 8, strategic foresight. The challenge here is that the role of foresight isn't fully understood. And even when it is, it's still often treated as a supplementary function rather than an integral part of business strategy and innovation. Many organizations track trends but struggle to turn foresight insights into actionable decisions. Future scenarios and trend reports often end up as optional inputs rather than shaping actual strategy. A key reason for this? Short-term pressures dominate decision-making, making it difficult to justify long-term foresight investments. What's more, the future is, of course, unpredictable. There are no future facts, and the risk of betting on the wrong trend, technology, or market shift makes leaders hesitant to act. As a result, foresight often remains an intellectual exercise rather than a driver of concrete business decisions. Get it right, however, and foresight has huge potential. Research shows that companies that employ foresight practices and are future prepared can achieve up to 33% higher profitability and a 200% increase in market capitalization growth compared to their peers. The question is, how can organizations move from passive trend monitoring to active future proofing? Let's look at how one of the world's leading audio and imaging technology companies does it. At Dolby Laboratories, foresight isn't a one-off exercise or trend report. It's a structured, ongoing process. But it wasn't always this way. Back around 2019, Dolby appointed its first head of foresight, Tessa Finlev, who set about the task of operationalizing foresight. We sat down with Finlev in our Innovation Rockstars podcast, in which she shared some of the demands and challenges of getting a foresight program started.
You need not only someone who understands future thinking and how to do it and can train people and find out the right levels of engagement that make sense for the company itself. And then you need a facilitator and a trainer and researcher. You also need a community manager, someone who is able to bring people in and find out what the process is for keeping them engaged. It's just it is a full-time job and then some. So to assume that it's something that people can do on the side of their regular work, it's just going to set you up for a failure.
And so, under Finlev's leadership, Dolby built a dedicated foresight function that wasn't just about tracking trends. It was about unsiloing foresight and making it a core driver of Dolby's strategic decisions. Enter Dolby's Internal Futures Council, a cross-functional team tasked with scanning emerging trends, connecting insights to business strategy, and ensuring long-term thinking became a part of everyday decision-making. The Futures Council has given foresight a dedicated home, but its success is not due to this fact alone. First, Dolby's made foresight a shared responsibility. Foresight shouldn't be limited to a small group of futurists. That's why the Futures Council brings together employees from innovation, strategy, R&D, and even people and culture. A move that gives foresight influence beyond just product development. Second, it's built a single source of truth. With the ITONICS Innovation OS, Dolby has a central platform for signal scouting, rating, and trend discussion. This structured system ensures that foresight insights are captured, shared, and acted upon, not lost in scattered reports. Third, insights are connected to business strategy. Dolby doesn't just track trends, it actively links foresight insights to strategic planning. Monthly discussions, futures reports, and workshops initiated by the Futures Council ensure that weak signals are translated into concrete opportunities, guiding innovation and decision-making. And lastly, it is able to scale foresight thanks to ITONICS' automated tools for scanning signals, monitoring trends, and identifying opportunities. These capabilities allow Dolby to make foresight continuous and scalable as the organization itself evolves. We're now at challenge number 7, business model innovation, one of the most complex yet crucial areas of innovation. Put simply, a business model outlines how a company creates, delivers, and captures value. Unlike product or technological innovation, which primarily focuses on advancements or improvements in specific products or technologies, business model innovation transforms an organization's underlying structure and operations to better meet market demands and leverage new opportunities. Sounds reasonable, right? Well, consider that in the past 5 decades, the average lifespan for business models has decreased from 15 years to less than 5. And 80% of global chief strategy officers believe their business models are at risk of becoming obsolete. The challenge lies in creating a new business model that is viable, scalable, and aligned with market needs. And there are 3 main reasons why this is easier said than done. Number 1, a focus on short-term profitability. If a company is already profitable with its existing model, there's little urgency to explore new approaches. Many executives resist change unless they see immediate returns. Number 2, perceived high risk and uncertainty. Unlike product innovation, which builds on existing R&D capabilities, business model innovation requires a leap into the unknown, often without concrete proof of success upfront. And number 3, cultural and structural resistance. Established companies are often optimized for efficiency, not agility. Shifting from a product-centric to a customer-centric model, or transitioning from one-time sales to subscription-based revenue, requires deep cultural change and internal alignment. Overcome these obstacles, though, and the benefits are big. Companies that prioritize business model innovation are shown to outperform their competitors, especially during disruptive times. Take, for example, Amazon's shift from online bookseller to e-commerce giant, to cloud computing and streaming services leader. Or how Netflix went from a DVD by mail business to streaming service, and now also a major production company. Or think of the numerous companies out there that have adopted an as-a-service or subscription model, some justifiably and successfully, like software, mobility, and gaming. Others, some less successful, and well, interesting, like subscriptions for bottled fresh air from Canada or hourly nap pods in New York City. So while nap as a service hasn't caught on yet, plenty of companies have successfully reinvented their business models, and done so by following a few key principles. First, start with customer needs, not internal capabilities. Companies that successfully innovate their business models don't just tweak what they already do. They rethink what customers actually want. Instead of focusing on what your company has traditionally sold, ask, what problems are we really solving? What unmet needs exist? Airbnb and Uber, for example, didn't invent new products. They built new models around access and convenience. Second, experiment before committing. Because a business model innovation involves high uncertainty, companies need to test assumptions before fully committing. Prototyping, pilot programs, and lean startup methodologies allow for real-world validation with minimal risk. For example, Adobe phased out its one-time software purchases by first offering Creative Cloud as an option before fully transitioning to a subscription model. Third, get leadership buy-in early. A common reason business model innovation stalls is executive resistance. To gain support, tie innovation efforts to existing business priorities. Show how new models can complement or even future-proof the core business. And finally, embrace a portfolio mindset. Rather than betting everything on one new model, companies should build a diversified portfolio of innovations. This allows them to balance short-term revenue streams with long-term transformation, ensuring resilience in a rapidly changing market. If you're interested in learning more about business model innovation, be sure to check out our Essentials course on the topic, available in the ITONICS Academy. That brings us to the 6th biggest innovation challenge, the last one we'll discuss in part 1 of this course, balancing innovation investments. What we've learned from listening to hundreds of business leaders and portfolio managers from some of the world's top innovative companies is that identifying opportunities isn't the problem. In fact, that is rarely cited as a challenge for organizations. The challenge lies in how to prioritize opportunities. Resources are finite, so how should you allocate them between short-term incremental innovations and long-term transformational bets? This balancing act is made even more complex by market uncertainty, shifting consumer demands, and internal pressures to prioritize immediate returns over future opportunities. It's a tension that is particularly evident in manufacturing and R&D-driven companies, where short-term cost efficiency can win out over disruptive innovation. There are plenty of exceptions, though. Take Toyota, for example, a company that's not only a leader in continuous improvement, but also in strategic long-term innovation. Toyota has long been recognized for its Kaizen approach, a philosophy of continuous improvement that drives incremental innovation in its manufacturing processes, making it more efficient, cost-effective, and high quality. But Toyota's not lagging behind in disruptive innovation either, investing in emerging technologies like hydrogen fuel cells and autonomous driving. So the real question is, how do they strike the right balance between these types of innovation? The answer is, simply put, portfolio management. There are different approaches to this. One of the most widely used is McKinsey's 3 Horizons model, which helps companies balance short-term improvements, adjacent opportunities, and long-term disruptive innovation. This model not only prevents an overemphasis on short-term gains at the expense of future growth, it also ensures that resources are allocated strategically. For instance, it may be a red flag if only 15% of your portfolio focuses on disruptive innovation, yet consumes 50% of resources. Now, to put this into practice, it's essential to have a centralized view of your entire innovation portfolio. You can't allocate resources and balance investment across horizons if you're missing a piece of this picture. Without a transparent single source of truth, decision makers struggle to track where resources are going. It becomes difficult to align projects with strategic goals and see whether investments are skewed too heavily towards quick wins or high-risk, high-reward moonshots. Toyota Motor Europe tackles this challenge with the ITONICS Innovation Operating System, consolidating over 200 innovation projects worth more than 20 million euros on one collaborative platform. What's more, it's engaged more than 500 Toyota members from regional manufacturing centers with tools to participate in innovation, breaking down information silos and developing a pipeline of future opportunities. This centralized approach ensures that both incremental improvements and transformational breakthroughs are managed cohesively. With real-time visibility into all innovation activities, Toyota can prioritize initiatives based on strategic fit and impact, allocate resources effectively across short-term and long-term innovation, and make data-driven investment decisions in line with its long-term vision. This structured portfolio approach prevents innovation from being dictated by gut instinct or short-term pressures. Instead, it enables a disciplined, long-term strategy, one where continuous improvements drive efficiency today, while disruptive projects ensure future competitiveness. All right, so with that, we're at the end of part 1 of this course on the top 10 innovation challenges and how to solve them. Stay tuned for part 2, where we'll break into the top 5 innovation challenges and explore how leading companies are tackling everything from integrating AI to fostering a culture that truly supports bold ideas. See you there.